Last July, Tommy and I were able to embark on a journey to Cambodia to teach English and build clean water wells through the generosity of Bob Poole. That's Tommy on the airplane. So this was a sign that greeted us to the country. So Cambodia was our home for 1 month, the whole month of July, and as you can see, communication was often a barrier. This is how we got around. It's called a tuk-tuk, and it took us it took us hundreds of miles through beautiful Cambodian countryside. The Cambodian economy is mostly agricultural based, but the more desirable jobs are in services, especially tourism. In order to make it out of the rural and often impoverished agricultural communities, Cambodian citizens are virtually required to speak English. Tommy and I taught English to students ranging from the age of 3 to 40. Each day we were given a teaching job to do at any of the 5 schools throughout the country. We taught for roughly 5 hours a day. For both of us, this trip was more than a service opportunity. It was a collection of experiences that made us witnesses to a different world. It has been unbelievably important for Tommy. It has been unbelievably important for Tommy and I to understand the realities of extreme poverty. You've heard it before, but I guess you don't understand it until you live it. This was on July 4th, by the way. We were setting off fireworks. Your life is so small in composition of the world, but it can still be important. On our free days, we visited local Buddhist temple ruins. This is a band of landmine victims. Each year in Cambodia, hundreds of people are injured or killed by active landmines. And yet, no matter how much hardship we saw more hope. Clean water is a rare luxury in much of Cambodia. When we stayed in the more rural and impoverished areas, we built clean water wells with money that we raised from jewelry sales at TAF last spring. This is Tommy trying out a new teaching technique in Kampung Tum. This is us with one of our classes in the Bantisaray district, a district whose school has fallen into ruin. One thing I observed while in the rice farming villages was that animals lived very closely with humans. They were an essential part of everyday life. And Cambodia's culture revolves around trust, sincerity, and tranquility. The change of pace there was quite shocking to me, because here it seems people have to be somewhere doing something at every second of the day. And although the Cambodian people live a slower way of life, that doesn't mean their quality of life suffers. I personally believe it's better. Almost everyone we met, whether a rice farmer who would classify as severely impoverished or the chief Buddhist monk of our local pagoda, was undeniably happy and accepting of us. So now Tommy's going to take over.
So this is one of my favorite pictures that Sam took. By the way, Sam took all the photography. He did a wonderful job, I think. But this was in one of the poorer villages we visited, which was called Kapong Kliang, which was a fishing village. And we saw just this incredible amount of resourcefulness all the time. This young boy had made a sled for his brother out of a petroleum container and some string, and was bringing this sassy little kid around, cute guy. This is how we dressed to get around Cambodia a lot, because it's dirt roads and it was very hot while we were there. And so when we'd go on the tuk-tuk, there'd be huge dust clouds. And so in order to protect ourselves from the dust, we dressed like this. This is back in Kapong Kliang. This is the traditional way of building fishing nets, which they've been doing for hundreds of years. That's something we really noticed in the rural villages, that construction, fishing, farming, the techniques haven't really changed for centuries. And you don't see a lot of modernity in these places. And it was an incredible experience to be cut off from all sense of the modern world for a while. It was a nice rest from that. This is Baby Gaga, was her name. Very cute. We spent some time in these huts in the villages. They're built on stilts because, especially in the fishing villages, which are built near the rivers, they flood every year. So they're built on stilts that are up to 20 feet high. This is a young boy who started crying when he saw me, and I was upset at that. And I asked his mother, this lovely woman, why he was crying. She didn't speak English, so through our translator, she told me that it was because, roughly translated, he had never seen someone as white as me before. So, yeah, so we got the sense that there are not a lot of foreigners visiting a lot of these villages, which was a unique experience for us to be there. A lot of cute kids. This is students. There's such an incredible desire to learn in Cambodia. We saw this everywhere. Kids will walk, this is the entrance to the village of Kak Pong Kliang, kids will walk miles a day in bare feet a lot of the time to get to their classes. And to really, I mean, we've read about that in the olden days, people used to do that, but to see that now in the modern day, that happening was remarkable. Kids are so happy and willing to learn, and they need to learn. Oh, that's me sleeping on the tuk-tuk. Oh, monkeys. There were monkeys everywhere, and we just had to throw this in because we loved them. Whenever we saw monkeys, we had the tuk-tuk pulled over, and they were mostly friendly. All were well endowed. Okay, so this is at the Buddhist temple Angkor Wat, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world, and it's set. So we were very lucky to be able to experience these wonderful parts of Cambodian culture on our free days. There's a lot to explore. But this temple in particular is called Angkor Wat, one of the 7 natural wonders, or not natural wonders, excuse me, man-made wonders of the world. And it's said that once you've seen Angkor Wat, you can die and go to heaven. It's that beautiful. And I think it is. It was remarkable. So it's just some artsy photos from Sam. Oh, Sam got a little too close to comfort to one of the animals that he observed lived very intimately with humans. This is the only photo I took. This is the man who we never spoke one word of discernible language between the 2 of us, or the 3 of us, but he owned the farm on which our program, the Bridge of Life School, built their first school. His son, a Cambodian gentleman, built this school on his father's farm, and it was their first school, their pioneer school. He didn't speak a word of English, but he owned chickens, and he was very proud of his cock, his rooster, that he would have cockfights with, anyway, no, but it was that, and so we built a strong friendship without words. And that was something that we did throughout the country because we had to communicate a lot of the time without discernible language. But we spent many hours on his farm every day teaching in this little school. This is our tour guide, whose name was Tor. And again, he spoke more English. He was actually a student of one of the first graduating classes of the Bridge of Life School. And the intention of the school is to get people higher paying jobs. And so he's a success story. He spoke excellent English. We became very close with this guy. We're still friends with him on Facebook, and we message each other now and again. Great guy, Tor. This is, again. Okay, this is on the chicken farm, this wonderful little school with the teacher, Vichai. You see him in the back talking to me. And it was such a wonderful experience to teach these kids who wanted to learn so fiercely. There's just this desire to learn that I haven't seen a lot, except here a lot of the time. But it really was, they need to learn, they want to learn, and to be able to help with that was a remarkable experience for both of us. This is one of the chickens on the chicken farm, and watermelons. There were these evil ducks. They were horrible. But, so Sam included this picture. Okay. These children, again, we classify a lot of the people we met as impoverished. And a lot of them didn't have access to clean water and the resources that we take for granted. And this playground is a good example of that. It's very dilapidated. It lacks a lot of the luster that we'd see in playgrounds in the U.S. But kids, and I wish we had a picture of this, but kids would play on these playgrounds without any knowledge of that. And they played unencumbered by the knowledge that their slide lacked a paint job. And there was that sense of resilience that we saw throughout the country all the time. And then this is a very more serious note. Cambodia experienced a horrible genocide between 1975 and 1979 under the Pol Pot Khmer Rouge regime, in which 2 million people, which was 25% of the population at the time, were killed in that 4 or 5 year time period. And we saw this. We saw the after effects of this in the country every day. There's a missing generation, and you don't see a lot of middle-aged people in Cambodia. And so this was a prison that was actually made out of a high school. It was converted from a local public high school into a prison where enemies of Pol Pot and intellectuals and general subtractors and subversives were sent and tortured and killed. Our tour guide, who was one of the teachers at the Bridge of Life School, said that he had visited this place in 1995 with his school, and at that time he could still smell the blood, and even now you can still see stains of blood. And this place was it was a harrowing experience for both of us. We could hardly breathe when we were in here. And it just made the sense that we got of Cambodia all the more amazing, that people are so resilient and so happy, so willing to learn, so willing to move on. The political state there is still, there's still a lot of unrest. Right now there's a huge surge for democracy, and there's a lot of political corruption that's going on right now. And I encourage you to look it up and to read about it, because it's not well known what's going on in Cambodia now, but it's important to know about. But Sam and I were there during elections, and there's just this incredible sense of a desire to move on, to progress, and that was wonderful for us to see, and it was invigorating for us. So overall, I think Sam and I would both say that this experience, and I know you've heard this time and time again, and it is cliche, but it was life-changing. I look at every day at things differently because of the perspective I gained in Cambodia. And the Poole grant is what allowed us to do it. The other thing that helped us and really allowed us to do this was Amprakash, which is a website that was set up by Taft alum Willie Oppenheim, who's Rosie's brother. And that's where we found Bridge of Life School. And it was such an important program for us because it was cheaper, because all the costs went directly into the schools and living expenses. But we lived comfortably but not luxuriously. And I think that's really important when you're doing a service job. You want all the money you're spending to go, the majority of the money you're spending to go into that service. So we encourage you to take advantage of the Poole and Page grants, and to take advantage of the Amprakash website, which connects you with service opportunities, but also to look for a program where you can really devote yourself to service, most if not all of the time. And the deadline for applications for Poole and Page grants are today, so if you haven't finished those, finish them, send them in.
And if you have any questions, just stop us in the hallway or anything.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.